Well, Dr. Nandipha Magudumana and her father, Zolile Sekeleni, will be reunited in the dock after her arrest in Tanzania. They face various charges, including murder, aiding an escape, and the violation of a corpse. And it's all in relation to the prison escape of convicted murderer and rapist Thabo Bester from Mangaung Correctional Center in May last year. Magudumana is Bester's partner and is alleged to have helped him escape. That's her and her father, will appear alongside a former G4S employee, Senohe Matsoara, and a Mangaung Prison CCTV technician, Teboho Dipholo. Mnisi is our reporter tracking that story. He joins us live from Bloemfontein this morning. Linda, good morning. It's great to see you. And you're standing outside court because surely there's going to be a massive kind of preparation on the part of police outside of court and the court itself once this appearance gets underway.
Indeed, Michelle, there's a number of security issues, obviously, that need to be dealt with before this matter sits. And very early this morning, we're seeing the presence of the police just outside court. I mean, if you look from this particular direction, they arrived a couple of minutes ago, starting to prepare, for this particular appearance. It's the first time that 4 accused will be appearing in this matter. We know that so far there are 5 accused persons, Thabo Bester being accused number 5, but 4 will be appearing together in this particular court. And as you can imagine, the kind of security preparation that has to go into everything that will be happening today. Nandipha Magudumana last week arriving under heavy police guard, a long convoy, which some even suggested resembled a presidential convoy. But with the security risks that, are involved in this matter, police obviously have to be vigilant. We're seeing members from the Parkweg police station. It's also known as the Park Road police station. This is where Dr. Nandipha Magudumana was processed last week. At that, police station where we caught sight of her arrival when she first came to Bloemfontein after her arrest and her deportation from Tanzania. You already see there members of the SAPS, including the public order policing, also outside. But you'll also remember, Michelle, this matter has garnered public interest and a lot of interest from members of the media who were already starting to line up the street from very early this morning. The interest really goes far beyond, South African soil. International media also will be present in court today, which gives you the kind of case we're dealing with here. You spoke to me about, court preparations as well. And as you can see already, members of the court, including, of course, security officials from the court, preparing. Members of the public would usually by now be lining up inside the yard of, the court or the premises of the court. But you see, they've lined up just outside the court premises. We understand that also sweeping inside court will take place. There are very strict measures that have been implemented by this court, and those also include, the registration of members of the media, because everybody who will be inside that court, Michelle, needs to be accounted for, and therefore members of the media are required, and it's mandatory for them to apply to be inside court. They'll be granted wristbands that will help identify them from other members of the public. This is no ordinary court sitting, although members of the public are allowed to attend, any court sitting. But this one is really under heavy security, which means that each and every single person that will be inside that courtroom needs to be known, at least by the officials of the court as well as security officials. So any moment now they'll be opening up the gates. We saw sniffer dogs and some members from the explosives and the SAPS really are still busy with sweeping inside court. So we're expecting then that around 9 o'clock we'll start seeing those convoys, from members of the SAPS. As you would recall, Dr. Nandipha is an awaiting trial prisoner, so her transportation would usually be handled by members of the SAPS as well as members of the Department of Correctional Services. They'll be fetching her from that Kroonstad prison Her father, we understand, is in, a Brantford prison and will be making his way from there. You'll remember also that Senohe Matsoara, the former G4S employee, submitted before this court that he be kept at a different prison. In fact, it was a submission by the state that he be kept at a different prison because he was a prison official, right, in the Mangaung vicinity. So it wouldn't really, be safe for him to be kept, at a Mangaung prison. And that is why that court order was granted for him to be moved outside the vicinity, outside of Mangaung. So all four then will be coming this morning under heavy police guard. It's going to be interesting watching how the court, staff will be handling the processing and how they'll be arriving just in time for that court sitting. Michelle?
Yeah, some great context there insofar as, the environment in which this appearance happens, Linda. As for the appearance itself, is it a possible case of bail?
Well, Newzroom Afrika understands at this point that there are various bail consultations that still need to take place. You'll remember earlier on I made reference to the issue around legal representation, because obviously with issues of first appearances, accused persons, would need to get in touch with their lawyers when they're at police stations, when they're arrested, and so on and so forth. And you would remember that one of the first things that they're informed about when being charged in court is their right to legal representation. So they're given an option, right, to get a private attorney or legal aid, and that's when issues around legal representation will be conducted. Sometimes the preferred lawyer is out of town, and therefore, arrangements would have to be made. Those lawyers would have to consult with the clients in order to take instructions on what to do next. Today's matter is sitting for possible bail. Possible bail, Michelle, it is unclear yet whether or not they're going to be applying for bail, so we're going to be hearing in that court proceeding. But I can tell you now, some of the accused will not be making that bail application today because there are various consultations that still need to take place. You'll also remember that issues around bail also involve the personal circumstances of the accused person, so they'll have to deal with the nitty-gritties around who they are, where they live, and the state would have to confirm their addresses and criminal profiles. In this matter already, we've already been given a glimpse into whether or not, certain people will be pursuing certain lines in terms of that bail application. You'll remember the appearance of Senohe Matsoara as well as his co-accused, Zolile Sekeleni, who first made their appearance in this court. I'll just move out of shot just for court officials to make their way inside. They are the ones that are dealing mostly with access to court and members of the media, that gentleman and the lady that you see over there. But back to the bail issue, Michelle, Senohe Matsoara and Zolile Sekeleni already giving us a glimpse during their first court appearance of what line they'll be pursuing in their bail application. They've told this court already that they do not have any pending cases or, previous convictions. That plays a major role in the court. It's among some of the things that the magistrate would have to consider before granting bail. So at a later stage, then we'll be hearing, if Nandipha as well, Dr. Nandipha Magudumana will be applying for bail. It's going to be interesting watching whether or not she's going to move or make the decision to apply for bail, because one of the things that will also be considered is what police are saying, that she was found with a number of passports, right? Those will play a major role because then it determines whether or not she is a flight risk. We've already seen that police said she was on the run and they later apprehended her in Tanzania. So, it'll be interesting to see whether or not she will be going for that bail application and what she will tell us in terms, or rather the court, in terms of that bail application. Was she really on the run, or was she just out in Tanzania? Anything and everything is possible, Michelle, in this regard.
She being held against her will. Linda Mnisi, thanks very much indeed. Live to us there from outside the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court as that case unfolds. We'll bring you the latest with Linda Mnisi.